All right, so I'm going to take you guys through how to use and really blend these colored pencils together so that you get kind of this nice rich effect. So we're going to be using these Prismacolors. Don't use Crayola. Don't use the stuff that we have in the bins or hanging up on that orange pegboard. Let's make sure that we're using these, okay? So there's one of these for each table. And we're just going to talk about, I'm going to show you a couple of techniques first. We're just going to talk through a couple of things, and then I'll show you how we can really blend these colors together. So, first thing that you need to think about doing as you are doing this is, where is the shadow coming from? So from here, my shadow is coming from this direction. So that means this side of my object should be a little bit lighter than this side, which it's done. And you can see that my shadow here is casting that way as well as on all of these. Now I'm not done with this drawing yet, but you can kind of see that. So what I like to think about is always keeping colors that are in common. So like if I want to make blue frosting, I want to pick a dark color of blue, a light color of blue, and then a white, or that's going to be, for me, my white is going to be my lightest. And these colors, what you will start to do is really make sure you start to outline with that shape first, and you layer these colors. So as I am doing this, that color will gradually build up. Now that doesn't look so good now, but watch when I start to add in my medium color. Start to blend together just a little bit more. So I'm really going to I'm not pressing super hard, but then I'm going to come back over with that darker blue and create more of that shadow where I want that. And I'm just going to continue this process, layering it up. So now I'm kind of moved on to that, using that dark color. So I'm just going to gradually start bringing this out. Now guys, when you sharpen these pencils, I need to sharpen this. You can see that it gets pretty dull. It's okay to use these pencil sharpeners, but just make sure you aren't sharpening it too much. Otherwise, the lead is so soft that it'll cut it off. So don't do it all the way. So you can kind of see here that I didn't do it the sharpest I could, okay? So I'm just gonna continue bringing that out. And now watch what happens when I start to add that white over top. So that white will really, really work as a great mixer tool. And on this cardboard, it just really, really works well with the design, the material. Okay? So you would continue building that up depending on what your object is, but everything should have lights and darks. So you should not just be, I'm going to flip this over. So where you're coloring, you shouldn't just have something that's filled in solid blue. You need to have a variation of colors. That could be transitioning from one color to another. So maybe I'm going to add in a little bit of purple. But colors need to be overlapping. Maybe that's adding white, like I've done here. Or I can even come in and start with that. Now, do you notice here how this does not look very nice? Like the blue and the purple looks good, but there's not a gradual transition with this. So what you can do is just take a little bit more purple and gradually overlap and blend. It's just like painting, okay? It's just like painting. Some things not to do. Don't do this, okay? Should not have your lines far apart. Make sure that you are layering them soft and close together. It should look more like this, not spaced out like that. Then when you go, you can continue to layer on those colors. So these colored pencils are stacked with a couple of different ones. There are some lighter colors in there too. So play around with mixing colors. If you want values to be darker or colors to be darker, you can also use black as an option. So here, I'm going to make this a little bit darker. I don't need a lot of black, so I'm not pressing hard, but I want that shadow to show up a little bit more. So you can kind of see how that starts to make a little bit of a difference compared to up here. So really practice and focus on blending in colors, okay? So you're going to have a few rules. Wherever there's one color, you need to overlap and make sure that there's another color, okay? We'll take a look at some more colored pencil techniques later on. All right, let's talk about colored pencils briefly. Like I said before, wherever there's one color, there needs to be another color, so really practice overlapping. So when you're doing this on the cardboard, the goal is to have no brown spaces showing. So as you can see right now, I'm gonna hold this up to the camera. You can see that there is quite a bit of space there, okay? We want that to be overlapped and filled. So I'm gonna be using a series of green, dark, and light colored pencils. And I'm gonna really overlap, and you don't have to press very hard. The more you overlap, the better effect that you are going to get. So I'm gonna zoom in here. So even just by overlapping with one color a little bit, you can kind of see how those start to kind of mix together a little bit more, okay? So really practice that, and the more you layer the colors, the better it is going to look. So if I go ahead and start with a different color, you can kind of see how that really helps make a very nice effect, okay? And I'm slowly getting rid of those brown spaces. Now notice this spot from here to here, the transition of colors is a little much. So I want to take that color that I used before and go ahead and just lightly go back over top of it to make a smoother transition. So that looks a little bit better there. Now for these areas that are the dark areas, you can use a darker color like maybe a brown or a black, or I could use a blue or something like that to give that effect of a little bit darker without necessarily with still using that color that we want. So I'm going to zoom back in on this so you can kind of see. So those colored pencil effects, I've covered that a lot more than what I started with, okay? So let's apply this technique to something. So you've seen the cupcake example where we've used the colored pencil to help create those values going light to dark. So that is just something that a really good way to do that. But what if you don't have something that's just a straight line and it's more spherical, maybe kind of like this cherry here, okay? So let's use these same colors to fill in a sphere. And I would encourage you guys to practice doing this before. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm just going to draw a small circle. And now before I begin, I need to determine where I want my light source to be coming from. So that's going to say which way my shadow is going. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to pick my light source to come from over here. So that means this is going to be the lightest part and this is going to be the darkest part. So my shadow then is going to reflect and cast this way. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to draw in my shadow there. Okay. So now I'm going to go ahead and start with kind of this darker color, and notice I am going in with the shape of this circle here. I want it to look like a sphere, not a circle with stripes. So look at the difference. If I go like this, I'm still creating value with that colored pencil. Well, I will be, but you'll see the difference, okay? So now I'm going to take that dark green again, and I'm going to overlap. And I overlap up upon that curve. So if I apply that same technique over here, it's not looking quite like a sphere, okay? So now I'm going to move on to some other colors and watch how I continue to go along with that shape. Okay, so notice how even though I've used the same combination of colors on this circle and on this circle, because I wasn't curving around that shape, it doesn't look realistic. So go ahead and try to practice this out on your piece of cardboard before you get started, okay? One last thing that I'll tell you is if you are confused about how to get started, sometimes just draw a couple of lines to kind of help show you the direction in which you should be drawing. So that will kind of help you out a little bit there, okay?